Welcome to the Get Real podcast. I got a special guest today. His name is Jonny Arnett. He's also an NBA YouTuber like myself. Jonny, thank you for joining, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here.
So, we had plenty of discussions we could have gone on about. There was the Ariza trade, James Dolan potentially selling the Knicks, which if you're a Knicks fan, if you have a God, if you believe in God, pray to that God that happens. Just as a side note, just hope that happens. But what we settled on was just a very topic that is going to happen for a while until the trade goes down, and that's what will happen with Anthony Davis. Where is he going? There's speculation everywhere. Jonny, what is your take on the possibility of him going to the Lakers, and if another team that we're not seeing can sneak in and be, in the discussion to trade for him?
Yeah, well, I don't think he's going anywhere till the end of the season. I think they're going to let this whole thing, they got to let this whole thing play out because he's still under contract for this season and the following season. But I think next season is when something's really going to happen. I do think he eventually ends up in LA, but if I'm LA, I stay very wary of Boston. I could just see them sneaking in and trying to do one of those steals, and man, if they get him, I don't see how they're not the favorites in the East. I mean, I know Boston has had their issues to start the season, but it's still really early in the seasons, and you never know. I mean, the Raptors all these past years have been a good example of that. Just because a team looks really great in the regular season doesn't mean they're going to be great in the postseason, and vice versa. Just because a team started slow doesn't mean they're not going to be terrific. Years ago when the Lakers went 15-1 in the playoffs back in 2001, they actually had a poor regular season, but nobody remembers that. We just talk about them being one of the greatest teams of all time because they went 15-1 in the postseason, but they only won like 52 games in the regular season. So you just never know. But I think if the Celtics can sneak in and get him, there is a possibility if he likes winning that he could stay there.
Absolutely, and I mean,
as a Laker,
go ahead.
As a Laker fan, I am a little bit, I would be nervous about that, but I do think he eventually does end up as a Los Angeles Laker.
Yeah, and you hear from guys like Woj saying that basically there should be some anti-stalking laws to the Celtics for just watching this guy for so long, constantly keeping tabs on him, almost a probably unhealthy obsession. Now, what I keep hearing is that they may not offer everybody. You may be looking at just a package of Ingram and Lonzo, but just to me, I'm thinking that the Lakers, if they want Anthony Davis, you have to go all in. That means Hart, that means Kuzma, Ingram, Lonzo. I like all those guys. I don't think Ingram has really helped his trade value so much over the course of the season with all his struggles. I like Kuzma. Josh Hart, kids that went to college for a long period of time, came out more NBA prepared. But I think you have to throw everything in the kitchen sink to make a valid offer. Otherwise, if you just throw Ingram and Lonzo out there, what's to stop, say, a team like New York, who has the mecca of basketball, it's New York City, throw Porzingis and the pick they have for this year, which is likely a top 5 pick. What's to stop a team from really trying to get Anthony Davis?
Yeah, for me, I think it would have to be a team that is a contender that thinks they can either win their conference or win the NBA championship. That's why I'm thinking the Celtics. If I'm the Knicks, I don't know why you do Anthony Davis. You could go for him, and maybe you could convince him to stay. I mean, we saw Paul George was convinced to stay in Oklahoma City, and he just loved the community. But in New York, I just don't see it because that team's not going to be good, not going to be great, not like the level of greatness that the Celtics would be if they added Anthony Davis. That would be a scary team, and a team that, as good as the Raptors are, I would favor to come out of to the East, definitely. But I think the Celtics are the team to look out for. There are other teams that could get involved, but the Lakers, I agree, they got to get it done. They have some pieces, but ultimately the pieces that they have to offer are not going to be as good as Boston's because Boston have a collection of depth. They have veteran players. They even have stars, like ready-now stars. I mean, we still have to see how they feel about Kyrie Irving long-term. Because, I mean, we could even potentially see a deal where Kyrie Irving was involved in an Anthony Davis trade. It all just depends on how, things kind of unfold with the team. But, the Lakers, I agree. If they could get it done, they should try to get it done. And even if it involves Kuzma, you obviously wouldn't tell the Celtics that, but you wouldn't tell them that everything's on the table. But in reality, everything needs to be on the table for LA.
Absolutely, and I guess another question really comes down to this. How willing, I think Jason Tatum is the trump card. Like, you throw him down, it might just be game over no matter what. But do they do that? Because this team wasn't really willing to give up anything for, say, Kawhi Leonard when he became on market. I know the circumstances differ there, but it's just, are they going to be willing to give that guy up? And another reason I can see that Lakers fans are optimistic is because they own the Kings and Memphis first-round pick for this draft, and they're both doing pretty well. Now, that being said, I have to imagine one of those teams, I'm going to guess the Kings, are going to eventually return to more of what we expected of them. But even if they just keep the same, those are middle 14th, 15th picks in the first round and not lottery picks. Now, that being said, they're obviously still going to be better picks than whatever the Lakers can offer if they trade for Davis, but it just makes you wonder, since the picks aren't going to be as glamorous as we originally thought, do they include Tatum? To me, that's the biggest question, because Al Horford, I think, has a player option. I mean, Hayward's starting to slowly get back into it, so you got to hope maybe he can increase his value by being 100% soon. Jaylen Brown's kind of had a rough go. Tatum hasn't shown the same star-studded power they did last season, even though we all know he can do it. It's just not everything is going to their favor, so now you got to wonder, do they have to include Tatum to get a deal done?
Yeah. Well, I mean, from a pure basketball standpoint of, like, the players that they have on the floor at the moment, we know they have lots of wings. They have Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum. Like, that shooting guard, small forward position is pretty stacked for them right now. They could, obviously, the guy with the highest ceiling, with the most potential there, is Jason Tatum. I think if that's what it took for them to get it done, they would need to get that done. Now, I know it's a risk, because he could just ultimately end up leaving. But when you think about the Celtics and their history, they have almost always had success by drafting well or taking risks. If you look at, like, Larry Bird was drafted, Paul Pierce was drafted, Ray Allen was traded for, Kevin Garnett was traded for, Rondo was traded for, Kyrie Irving was traded for. Like, all of these guys are guys that management, like, had a huge part in, like, by their own will, like, bringing those guys to the team. Now, you look at the Lakers are completely different. You've got Shaq, who joined in free agency. You've got LeBron James, who joined in free agency. Like, this is a destination that people choose to go to. The Celtics don't have that luxury.
Absolutely.
And to win, they have to take risks. And I think now's a good time to do it. I mean, obviously, you still have Golden State out there, but it just seems more and more with, like, just the issues that have been going on and basically everything that's being talked about behind the scenes, I don't think that team's sticking together beyond this season. Apparently, Kawhi Leonard's still looking at Los Angeles, so people are still thinking he might either go to he's probably going to go to the Clippers. If Kawhi's not on the Raptors, the Warriors disband. This is a championship opportunity for Celtics that's just being laid out right in front of them. And if you can get Anthony Davis, I think now's the time. Like, now is the time.
For sure.
So that's personally how I view it. I wouldn't want to give up Tatum if I was them, but if that's what it takes to give your team a chance to win championships right now, you got to do it. You got to take that risk.
Absolutely, and I guess the only other fear there is that what if Katie and Kawhi link up in Clipperland, which I think is a very, very real possibility, especially if you're looking for like a narrative standpoint as a player. Imagine taking a franchise like the Clippers, which now that Cleveland has a ring, they're probably the worst historical NBA franchise now. Now that Cleveland has actually won, they're like what's left. So you got to think, if you can link up in Clipperland, be the better team in LA, maybe beat LeBron, your big brother Lakers team, on the way to the finals. I don't think the Clippers as an organization have been to a conference finals, even when they were the Braves. So historically, from that standpoint, and also you have Jerry West, the guy who helped bring together the Warriors on there. Doc Rivers this season has reminded everybody, hey, I'm still a top 5 coach in the league. Don't forget about me. Alexander is their point guard. Has shown to be a really, very good pick for them. And we'll see how Jerome Robinson points out. But them doing good this year definitely increases those odds. But you're right. If KD goes to New York instead, and it's just Kawhi in Clipperland, the field's wide open. I mean, no one else in the West has really stepped up at all. I mean, OKC's been solid. Denver's been solid. Denver's still young, though. They've never been to the playoffs, so who knows what they'll be. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. It needs to happen now. My question to you, because you know the Lakers very well, how much has Ingram's stock gone down this season with him having some trouble fit-wise trying to make it work with a guy like LeBron James?
Something that I've basically been seeing, for a little bit is that LeBron and Ingram don't mesh. I've been watching many of the Laker games this year. I've even physically been to 2 of the games. Me and my best friend are sitting at the game, and every time Ingram gets the ball, he seriously goes into Kobe mode, like isolation play, trying to create a shot for himself, and he forces a lot of shots. Now, again, when you're so skilled, when you're a star player, you have the offensive skills, that can make up for that. Like, you've earned that because you can handle making a play for yourself. But with that being said, that just doesn't fit with LeBron. But a lot of teams could use that. A lot of teams could use that length, that scorer, that slasher, a guy who's looking to make a play for himself. So that's why I don't think his stock has been destroyed, because we already knew coming in that LeBron's style of play is essentially he plays the point, and he basically wants to play with a lot of shooters, guys he can facilitate to, guys that he can kick it out to, and Ingram just doesn't fit that mold. So I'm not sure if that just completely destroys his value, because as much of an Ingram thing as it is, it's just as much of a LeBron thing. But I don't think it's going to work. I mean, I'm kind of nervous because Rondo's about to come back. Rondo's coming back into the lineup. Ingram's coming back into the lineup. And the Lakers have been doing obviously they just took a loss tonight. D'Angelo Russell played really well, but they've been doing better without those guys.
Absolutely.
And so if I'm the Lakers organization, I don't have a problem, separating myself from Ingram, from trading Ingram if I have to. You don't get LeBron James, whether it was the right move or not, you don't get LeBron James to build championships for the future. You're not in rebuild mode. You're trying to win championships now. And if you're the Lakers, why not do that? You have the brand, you have the lure, you have Magic Johnson running things now. You should be trying to win now every year. You're the Lakers. You'll always be able to acquire free agents. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Is I think he's still a quality player. I still think many people can use him, but he's not a must keep for the Lakers by any means.
Now let me finally ask you this before we take off. I made a video a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month or 2 ago, about how LeBron he's basically a system on his own as a player, and that's not a bad thing, but he's an acquired taste if you're another star player, as Kevin Durant alluded to, as it looks like Kawhi Leonard might not be as interested with joining the media circus that follows LeBron. Butler didn't really sound interested. I think we can count Kyrie as out. Do you think the way LeBron plays ball, and you can't be upset with him, it's led him to 3 championships, right? But do you think stars are going to be hesitant to join LeBron to where you might miss a KD, a Kawhi? You may have to resort to, maybe we should give Kemba Walker a look, or see about Chris Middleton. I mean, if you miss all those A-listers, what's the backup plan? Just trade for a guy like Damian Lillard for Lonzo and Ingram? Like, if those guys just say, I'll pass, which I think is a very strong possibility, where do you go from there? What's plan B?
Yeah, I think that's where you got to look out to fill the roster, and that's where you got to fit the system that, basically LeBron is. Lots of people have brought up the Bradley Beal situation. Beal, I don't think, is a person you should go for at the moment, because for the Lakers, that would be settling. when Anthony Davis is on the table and you have all the cap space and he bought a home in LA and he signed with Rich Paul and there's all these like reasons like that are basically pointing to him potentially going to Los Angeles, don't spend all this money on Bradley Beal, you know, because that would be settling. But if that doesn't work out and you're not able to get a star player and those players don't want to play with LeBron, then yeah, I think those are the kind of directions that you got to go, is try to get the best 3-and-D players that you can pair with LeBron James. But with that being said, my prediction is I don't think that's going to be an issue, because I do think that they are going to get Anthony Davis. I think he knows he wants to play there. He's not the type of player who has to have the ball to be effective. He's a big man, and if you have a great passer like LeBron James, he can find a guy like Anthony Davis down low. I mean, he's doing it with JaVale McGee. He makes him look like an all-star sometimes out there. So I think they'll get AD, but if that doesn't work out, you got to find those players that are just like the ultimate 3-and-D players to fit with LeBron. You agree with that?
No, absolutely. I think that's. I mean, he helped resurrect J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver's career. It's what he does. He makes, you know, I hate to say system players, but players with a very specific role and space in the floor, those shooters, and he takes them to another level. At the same time, he may hurt a tertiary level star or a sidekick like a Chris Bosh or a Kevin Love. And there's also something to be said to, unfairly or fairly, when things go wrong and LeBron loses, they're going to look at you, not LeBron. Whether that's fair or unfair, I think that's just how it is.
Yep, for sure. Lakers love their stars, though. They're able to win. If I'm Anthony Davis and I'm 20, what is he, 24, 25? I think he's 25 now.
Right.
But you're going to be the man after LeBron leaves. And you have a chance and an opportunity to build up your legacy there. I think it's a very, good direction for him. But you're right. I mean, it's a risky proposition, especially when you consider that, man, you get blamed for everything. I mean, we're talking about Luke Walton, being on the hot seat. Why are people talking about Luke Walton being on the hot seat when the Lakers are achieving much better than anyone expected?
Absolutely.
It's because anytime you have any drama, anytime you have any problems, people look at every direction other than LeBron because he's just that good. You can't blame him, so they blame the coach. But they're doing well, and they're still looking for his job. So I do think there are a good handful of players. I think it's absolutely true that don't want to play with LeBron. It kind of just depends on that player. I think KD and Kawhi, I can't see them. I think there's a better chance Kawhi would, but I don't think either of those guys are going to the Lakers. At first I thought that might happen, but I think the stigma has kind of been revealing itself of late, that those star players are starting to notice, like, it's LeBron, and the rest of you all are just role players in the eyes of the media, and guys don't want that.
That's very true, and obviously there's still plenty of time for things to go down, and nothing will likely go down to the offseason. Mr. Arnett, man, I really appreciate you joining on the show, coming on board. You are just a complete pleasure to work with. For y'all listening, his name is Jonny Arnett. I'll leave a link in the description of this episode so y'all can give him a chat. I liked his video where he broke down exactly how the Shaq Kobe Lakers would go up against the modern day Warriors, and also the possibility of where Kevin Durant might go. So give him a shout, give him a look, and just give him a look over. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, and let's do it again sometime soon.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, that was the Get Real podcast. As always, I appreciate you guys listening in. What do you guys think? Take apart what we said, break it down, give us some feedback. As always, I appreciate your dedication, always listening to this show, always give me your opinions. I always enjoy that. Go ahead and, if you like this video, subscribe. Look at Johnny's content, subscribe if you like his content. This has been the Get Real podcast. Thank you.